Hello and welcome to another episode of Outsu. Today we're going to talk about the power of sharing, aka social media. And to help me understand this, because like many of you out there, I struggle to see the impact it can have both on my life and others people's life, I've invited Eric Tung from Houston, a good friend of mine who is without a doubt one of the greatest media gurus I have met. Welcome, Eric, to the zoo. Great to have you here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Let's jump right into it, and maybe you can help someone like me really understand the evolution of social media. It started out like a cool thing, Facebook, Twitter. People talked about sport, politics, and news. But today has transformed not only itself, but the businesses and people that using it. It's almost impossible to live without it now, it seems. So how have you seen this evolution change over years?
I think it's a lot of different things. First of all, kind of from a marketing perspective, the goals have changed a lot. In the early years, it was, how quickly can we get a lot of followers? How many followers do you need for a social media channel to be successful? And then it evolved a little bit, into how can we convert these people into, buying customers. How can we push these people to the website and that kind of thing. And there were a bunch of studies that said, a Facebook like is worth, $4 or $126, or they even divided up by vertical. What, if you're a cell phone manufacturer versus a food, consumer packaged good product. What are these people worth, basically? And then, more recently, it's been a lot more about, the customer service aspect, and also kind of the thought leadership piece of it. So something like 60 to 70% of a sales cycle is done by the time a customer actually reaches out and contacts your salesperson. And that means they're online, they're reading your white papers, they're reading your blog posts. And so more and more of the sales cycle is done kind of outside of the scope of the company. Your customers are out there probably reading on their own, being supplemented by social, with blog posts and infographics, things like that. Number two, I would say kind of social has been kind of integrated a lot more into marketing. It used to be kind of an afterthought of, hey, we're going to put together this great advertising blitz, whether it's an ad buy or PPC email campaign, something like that. It always used to be, oh well, let's oh well, we barely forgot, we almost forgot to put some social into this. And now,
Mm-hmm.
every single commercial out there, every TV show has a hashtag on it. A lot of the software out there now, the email campaigns and even the web analytics, all have social add-ins. So it's really taken a lot more seriously now.
You mentioned something earlier there about the value of the users. Can you actually attribute value, monetary value, to someone who has strong influence? For example, you yourself has quite a few followers on Twitter. Does that make you more valuable than me because you do have a bigger influence than me?
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of different groups out there trying to kind of figure out how to market that, right? I mean, Clout has Clout Perks, where a company can pay to give out coupons or free product samples and things. And some of these were actually kind of cool. Some of them were, cars that you could drive for a week or something, or it's free cell phones and that kind of thing. There's a couple different groups now. One's called Fluencer, and one is called uh, I forget the other one,
That's right.
which is kind of sad because I know the guy there. But yeah, there's a bunch of different groups out there now trying to see who you can figure out are your influencers and how you can categorize them. Influencer widget has been part of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud and Radiant 6 platform for years, and that kind of gets an idea of who your influencers are based on the number of followers they have, as well as the number of times they talk about the different search terms within your industry. So there's definitely a lot of groups out there trying to help you figure out who these influencers are. As to what the monetary value of them to your organization is, I mean, it really kind of depends on how you work with them, how you can get them to talk about what you do. I think it was Chevy or someone. They actually sent a professional video crew out to one of their top forum writers, and they created just a commercial for this one person. And of course, he shared it out everywhere. It was just some random guy that liked to work on his Chevy at home, and it turned out to be a great campaign because it was just kind of providing him the means to talk more about what he loved doing anyway. So.
Interesting. Because I was thinking with General Motors, actually, to stay on the automobile theme there, who one of their marketing people were asked by the higher brass, why are we spending so much on social media? And she showed him some information. It was like 85% of people walk into the car store now know what they want. They testing the car almost like just going through motions. They know how much they're going to pay. And the sales guys almost rendered obsolete. And it's predominantly, she said 85% of those people get their information from social media, and that's what we're doing, and he was obviously baffled. Which leads me to wonder, is it more important than, let's say, direct marketing or television advertisement, or is social media taking over how the predominant way how we learn about products?
Well, I mean, I think especially when it comes to things like cars, big purchases, things like that, people trust their friends and family more than marketing. Obviously, I think I saw a number that was like 92% or something trust their friends and family to that degree. So you can put out there pretty quickly. I'm thinking about buying a Chevy Impala versus a Fusion. What do you guys think? And within a few hours, you'll probably have a couple dozen comments. Oh, I own this, and this sucks, or that is awesome, that kind of thing. So I tell people it's almost like you have a live focus group, a live personal focus group to yourself. You don't have to go out and read the material as much anymore. You can just kind of ask people out there that you know.
What's more important, how many people follow you or who follows you?
I think it's kind of a combination, right? Because if you have one follower, that's amazing. But at the same time, I think the most important thing is what they do, what they can help you do, right? So whether they're influential people or less influential people, if they consistently help you share your information, that's the biggest thing that you can ask for. Like Barack Obama and Ellen DeGeneres and Britney Spears all follow me, but they've never retweeted me. But then I've got people that I know here in Houston that have 200 followers, but they retweet me 3 or 4 times a day. So those, they might not be more influential people, but at the same time, they're a more important part of my community. So in the same way, companies can figure out who those people are within their communities and help to, provide them with additional resources that can help them talk about whatever company it is that you have.
Oh. I wish Tom York or someone from Radiohead would follow me, just so I could feel a connection. But Britney Spears would do
you never
know. Yeah, I have to take a
engage with them. Yep. Engage with them. Ask them some questions. See if they'll respond.
When we talk about social media, especially its impact, we often talk about the importance. I mean, today it's technically impossible to start a business without social media, but what about the individual? And I'm not talking about just your private life, but my professional life. How is it important for my career, if you will, irregardless of? Okay, so maybe not if you're steel worker in the heart of Pittsburgh, but for knowledge worker at least, maybe in high tech and finance and so on. Is it as imperative to my resume to have a good digital footprint as some of these pundits are saying, or is it just hype?
Well, believe it or not, I mean, 20 years ago, people were asking, why do we need this email thing? 50 years ago, executives still they were dictating to secretaries to type for them. They were just at a certain point they decided, oh well, maybe we should learn how to type too, and it's kind of at that point for social is the people that are building these communities of people around them. They're kind of fans. Obviously, you've had Chris Dancy on multiple times on Alf Zoo. He's got his own fan base that he gives information to. He's got a lot of great thought leadership, and that can only help your career. I think at a certain point, social media is going to become kind of a piece of everyone's job. It's not going to be just a department within marketing or customer service. It's going to be something that everyone does a little piece of. You see a lot of organizations out there that have 1,500 certified social media people there, and and in the same way, there's no manager of email or director of the fax machine at your company, and in the same way, a lot of people are going to kind of absorb that piece of their job, and bring that over to social. So you're a salesperson now, you can be a salesperson that uses social to put out additional information about your company via LinkedIn groups or something. If you're an HR recruiter, go. Maybe you can create some videos and post them, and or obviously they're really close with LinkedIn as well. So it'll just become kind of an added tool for individuals to use on their own, in addition to what's available now. And a lot of folks, I mean, people that have been hired, at BMC, and people that have been hired at other companies that are only or a large part due to their social media following and their skills. So it's definitely becoming something that can set people apart, into the future. It used to be, your college degree was something that you could use to set yourself apart, and then everyone started getting additional schooling, and now it's kind of what can you do that is a little bit more unique that can provide added value to the company, kind of like a college degree was 10 years ago. It's starting to become your expertise with social.
So instead of sending my daughters to MIT, I should sign them up for Twitter. No, I don't
It'll
know.
cost you a lot less.
It will. It will. I could technically buy parts of Twitter rather than that.
Take all that money and invest in the IPO.
I was going to say.
In 10 years, yep.
I wish I would talked to you a few days ago. Anyhow, and so with Twitter going public and more people knowing about it, and it's very easy to sit in tech hubs like, California, you in Houston, people in New York, LA, they do this. I used to be a newspaper reporter in Kansas, and I know the people there, and I know what they like, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to jump on this. They know what Twitter is, they know what Facebook is, they share it a lot, but they don't necessarily take the same approach as I'm going to live and breathe in this world like you sometimes see people in San Francisco. I wonder if they even have time to do anything but tweet. But will that change? Will this become mainstream? And really my question is, what can you tell them, and how can you help someone, for example, like me, who's still toiling with this stuff? What are a couple of tips to get going? I understand that you need to tweet from the heart and so on, blah, blah, but are there some practical 1, 2, 3 steps to get going?
I think, yeah, definitely. Actually, like, I would say just number one, get involved. I actually heard about Twitter, but waited until 2008 to sign up. So I'm probably still ahead of a few people, but I actually waited because I had no idea what it was in 2007. So step one, just sign up, get involved. especially for Twitter, you can it can become kind of your own personal news stream. You can follow, your hometown paper and your favorite sports star and your favorite singer and political people. You can have kind of an unfiltered stream, sometimes a little bit too unfiltered, but of it's kind of like a personal news source for you. The next step would be kind of to interact with that. So, respond to people that are in your stream, or find other people that you're personally connected to, people you work with, or
But someone as shy
kind of
as
thing.
me
So,
I would get a little bit, you said, for example, reach out, engage with like that Radiohead, the band. What am I going to say? And could they humanly care less what I have to say? That's the feeling I think a lot of people have. Is that true? Does social media change that interaction? I woke up to Tom York in a bar, he'll just smile at me, thank you, mate, and then hope that I'll disappear. If I tweet him online, there's a different synergy there. Is that helping me?
well, I mean, I think it's a shallower form of communication, but at the same time, you have the ability to absorb more of it too. So, maybe you can only go out and have dinner with a week or something, but then maybe you can have a phone call with somebody 2 or 3 times a day, right? But when you bring that up to the next level and tweet with people, you can tweet with 20 or 30 people in a day and be perfectly comfortable. So it's kind of I use it as a way, I would say, to kind of supplement your real life. You should still be going out and hanging out with people, that kind of thing. But for those people that maybe you had lost touch with, or those people from college or high school that maybe you're less likely to go out and have dinner with, you can kind of expand your circle that way. And by having that larger net, you can increase the amount of information that you're able to bring in. So especially if there are people that are within your industry, or talk about things that you're interested in, it's kind of a better way to absorb more information that kind of applies a little bit more to you than going to a regular news website or something and trying to see what's going on. So
yeah, well, you can learn a lot about new things out in the world through social media, but also you can learn a lot about yourself. Have you learned a lot about yourself since you became social media savvy?
Yeah, I think you kind of think about your relationships, and you kind of figure out how you work with people, talk to people, and communicate. And also, it kind of you get to kind of see. I don't know. Going back to the kind of the unfiltered thing, you can kind of see a little bit more about the people that maybe you hang out with, or the people that you follow, and get a little bit of an additional glimpse into what their lives might actually be more like. So maybe you can learn more about yourself by learning kind of more details about the people that you follow. If that makes sense.
No, it does, absolutely. And I was thinking about one thing for us personally, but also corporation could learn more about themselves as they realize what the true relationship is with their partners and customers and constituencies in general. You have over 70,000 followers, and when you write things out, there's an enormous responsibility. I mean, there are corporations of millions of users, of followers, as they. And they've never had that many people listen to them, properly, if you will, television ads notwithstanding. Do you feel that having 70,000, for example, in your case, is that important to be successful online? We talked about before, is it, who follows you versus how many, but I have 400. The gap is so immense that I feel that why even try to some degree? How long did it take you to get to 70,000? And what can I do to get at least to, let's say, 800?
I started back in spring of 2011. Spring of 2011, I had 700 followers, and I went to the Social 2011 conference, sponsored by Rating 6 at the time. It was a user conference, and I got to really engage with a lot of the people that worked there and a lot of the other users of the software. From then, it kind of started. I was like, I kind of figured out that obviously the more people that follow you, even though you might have more people that are just following you, to get your follow back or something. You'll also have more people that legitimately want to follow you for your information, for your content, and help share that. So, I looked up earlier through one software. That I had something like 2.5 billion impressions so far this year, and I usually get a few hundred million a month or so. And so, obviously that's not everyone that's seeing your particular post or anything, but just by having that opportunity, it really helps to kind of you can use it for good. Every couple weeks, I'll tell people, for the next hour, tell me about your charity or your business or something, and I'll tweet it out for on your behalf to people, and people will send me links to like a Kickstarter Indiegogo campaign trying to help cancer research or something like that, and I'll send that out too. So I would say the biggest tip would be, if you're trying to increase your number of followers, is really just interact with people, engage with people, and follow people. You can you attend all these conferences. I know ITSM Fusion a couple weeks ago or last week. Follow people that are using the hashtag, engage with them, and ask them questions. And more often than not, they'll follow you back. So.
Good. Well, how have you? I mean, it's been amazing how this tool has changed our lives and going to continue to change our lives. So, how do you think social media is going to change not only the technology, but its impact on society over the next 2-3 years, let's say?
I actually wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago. I haven't posted it yet, but I think it's kind of a few different things. So, I think it's really starting to get into the point where, like, if you look at the shootings at LAX, there were people posting on it on Twitter 45 minutes before it hit any of the mainstream news, and obviously people like CNN, those folks have. They've streamlined the process for getting news up as quick as they can, and they still can't beat 45 minutes outside of people tweeting about it. If you looked at some of the pictures too, there were literally dozens of people commenting on some of these pictures. There's a picture of like the gun sitting in the lobby or something, and there were dozens of news people trying to license those photos. So it's already impacting society to the point where do you even need to have camera people anymore, or photographers? They're if you can pull up your Twitter stream and pay someone $500 to use their picture, is that more authentic? And do people trust that more probably than some of the stuff that your own company might produce? And it's cheaper, right? So I also see like a lot of convergence, right? So you see, from the software world, we've seen a lot of acquisitions and mergers and things, and you'll see that in social too. Obviously the biggest one was Facebook taking over Instagram. We've had LinkedIn taking over SlideShare. Twitter came out with Vine. Even Condé Nast, who's their traditional mainstream publishing, took over Reddit, and so there's a bunch of different kind of consolidation out there, and you see that in the software world too. Oracle took over Involver, Google took over Wildfire Apps, Vocus took over North Social, and those are all kind of social media app publishers, right? So you can add those to your Facebook page. And Salesforce took over ExactTarget, Buddy Media, and Radiant 6. So you see a lot of consolidation kind of within the tools as well as within the platforms themselves. And then you see a lot of kind of tools now too that publish out to multiple sources. So you have like Hootsuite or Buffer app or something where you can actually post out. I don't recommend posting one particular post to all the different networks, but you have the ability to do that to literally like a dozen networks at the same time. And then at the same time, you have new platforms now that you can actually read all your social streams kind of at the same time too. So it's kind of, really, you have one source publishing out to a bunch of different networks, and then also one source reading a bunch of networks, so it becomes kind of a one-to-one relationship again, even though you're going out through multiple streams.
So what you really
so
want
I kind
is
of see that happening too. Is
Hootsuite slash
people.
Buffer. So what would be
What's that?
perfect to have? What would be perfect to have to be something that has both Buffer and Hootsuite, all in one.
Well, not only that, but like it publishing and then reading from the same source too. So I mean, like you see a lot of integration between the networks. So you check in somewhere at Foursquare, you post something on YouTube, that can cross post over to Facebook, right? That kind of thing. So all these different networks are trying to figure out how to consolidate other networks into them. Even if not by merger, at least by function, so you can see everything all in one place. So in the end, it's kind of consolidating all that back down. You see a lot. Another trend you see a lot is kind of the big data thing too. We talk about it from BMC a lot when it comes to the cloud and enterprise software, big data, but that also applies to kind of the social aspect too. Last year sometime, a teenage customer at Target had gotten a coupon in the mail that said, "Hey, congratulations." Basically, they knew she was going to have a baby, and the father stormed into the store and demanded an apology. He was like, "Are you trying to promote, activities going on, that kind of thing?" And it turned out that Target used her shopping habits to figure out that she was going to have a baby. And it's not even anything obvious. It's not buying, baby wash or anything like that. It's they said in some research I read, if you buy a larger than normal amount of unscented lotion, or if you buy a large handbag that can double as a a diaper bag, that kind of thing, they can actually predict about how far along you are. So it turns out the girl was pregnant. Her dad didn't know, and her dad called the next day and gave an apology. So in the same way, think about the amount of data that you have going through social right now. What if you have that you love Aerosmith on your Facebook page, right? You like the Aerosmith page, but you check in at Staples Center or Toyota Center during a Katy Perry concert or something. What says more about you, right? Can these social networks figure out that even though you like all these cool bands, that you're actually a dorky person at heart? And how can you use that? And how much interactions there are going between all the different networks? We don't even know. In Ireland, you can actually request all the information from Facebook that they have on you, and it's like 80 to 150 pages sometimes, and it's kind of crazy the amount of information that even Facebook keeps on you. Another thing I talked about in that blog post, I really need to publish this blog. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how you should, and it's amazing how much information we leak, because I doubt most people on Facebook understand how much data they use letting out into the atmosphere and people soaking up. So.
Well, and then Facebook saves a lot of information that you might not even know. They can see what website you came from to Facebook. And they can log that. They can they actually log the user that logged onto the computer that you used before and after you. So if you're at a library and you don't know these people, they can still tell you that John logged in before you and Mary logged in after you. And they can start trying to put together some kind of, analytics based on that, I don't know what they do.
Terrifying, but it's amazing.
Yep.
Well, Eric, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, one more thing I thought, is kind of the sharing economy, and that's rolling into a lot of social as well. So, 100 years ago, you wanted to make a cake, you had to have a chicken and some flour and eggs. You had to make your own cake, right? You had to have all the pieces to it. And then, 50 years ago, it became the manufacturing economy. You could go to the store and buy eggs and flour and milk. And then 20 years ago, it kind of became the service economy. You go to Walmart, you buy your sheet cake for $20. But now it's to the point, it's the sharing economy. You don't even have to own your own kitchen anymore. You can literally go online and buy a seat at somebody's dinner, and you can rent someone's car. You can rent someone's room to stay in. And so, that's kind of a social shift. But I think, I think social media is kind of facilitating that too, because people are putting so much more information out there than before. They feel less violated if someone came and slept in their bed and paid them, $200 or $300 for doing it.
We need to continue this discussion, because I think we come just to the threshold where the world is really changing, and I wanted to do this in segments. So I really appreciate your time, Eric. I've learned a lot from this, and hopefully so have the viewers. And I really appreciate it.
Well, definitely. Thanks for having me on, for sure.
Thank you, Eric. The rest of you, stay care. Bye-bye.